What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more r/Am I the Butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below, but if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too, as it all massively helps out this channel, and I can never express that enough. So thank you for doing you, and let's crack straight on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story does come with an update after it, and it's from Sport Representative 6, and we did cover the story at the time it did come out as well, so I'm going to read the story again so you don't have to go looking for other videos or anything like that, but feel free to use the timestamps if you want to, but here it is again. Am I the arsehole for refusing to return my late wife's ring to the family? Throwaway account as the family are on Reddit, but I really need help. I am so frustrated and confused right now. I, female 30, married my wife, female 36, a year ago. We'd been together 6 years, married for 1, before she passed away. It has been a really rocky time for me, and I'm still struggling but getting there day by day. My wife had been close with her grandmother when she was growing up, and when she passed away, her grandmother left a beautiful ring which had been in her family for generations. My wife used this ring to propose to me, and it also became my wedding ring. I have worn it every day since she gave it to me, and it's truly my most precious item from her. It feels like she is always with me, and when I look at it, it brings my heart some happiness to remember our time together. My wife even spent money on the ring to get it restored, as it had a few cosmetic faults. But by doing this, it more or less doubled the value too. It is very unique and shaped like a snake with a diamond in its head and rubies for the eyes. The diamond was cracked and the blue enamel needed repairing, which she did before proposing. My brother-in-law has now decided to propose to his girlfriend, and he wants to use the snake ring as their grandmother wanted the ring to be used as an engagement ring for when one of her grandchildren wanted to marry. A first come first served situation. Although it was never really expected her granddaughter would be doing the proposing, it was always assumed the boys would offer it to their girlfriends, but my wife got there and did it first, and that was that. It was never really questioned either, as my wife and she had been so close too. Nobody had any objections at the time, as the ring was still within the family and neither of my brother-in-laws were anywhere near getting engaged. I refused to give the ring back, and now I have caused a huge rift with my family-in-law. My mother-in-law and brother-in-laws are calling me an arsehole as they want the ring to continue being a part of their family and to be passed down in the generations as it was expected to. I am distraught. My wife and I were not big sentimental gift givers, and this is honestly the only thing she was truly proud to gift me. It was a huge deal for us and meant the world to both of us. My family-in-law have also thrown in my face that grandmother wouldn't even wanted me to have it since she was Russian and would be very much against a same-sex couple. This really hurts and feels like a low blow, as although it's definitely true I was accepted by my family-in-law. The grandmother had long been gone before I met my wife. They are now saying it should go to the boys as she intended. It's all got really nasty and I don't know what to do. The family have even offered to buy the ring off me for the full value of the ring with the repairs, but I refuse. It's the only thing I have of my wife, and parting with it feels like the only piece I have left of my broken heart being taken away. Am I the arsehole? And there is an edit which says edits. Oh, I wasn't expecting such a huge response from this, but I wanted to thank everyone for your replies. I'm working through them. I just want to give you all a bit more information based on some of your comments. No, my wife and I did not have children. Grandma definitely wouldn't have accepted the relationship. She was very old-fashioned, shall we say. There's lots of comments about leaving the ring in my will, which I think is a great idea. I hadn't been able to think clearly since this all happened because I felt stricken with grief again after the shock of being asked. I'm going to speak with mother-in-law and brother-in-law ASAP and see if I can offer the rings to brother-in-law's future children in my will. I don't want to part the family from the ring, but I don't want to part with it in my lifetime, so I'm hoping this can be resolved. I will post an update as soon as I have spoken to everyone. For those who have mentioned about giving it up if I remarry, I couldn't possibly answer this question at this point in time. My grief is blinding. To think about loving anybody else in this world feels absolutely impossible. And as you can see by the edit, there was lots of people saying like, why don't you gift the ring in your will, which I thought was a good idea as well, if you don't want the rift in the family and stuff like that. But anyway, we won't go through any of the comments because we did last time, and we'll go straight to the update. Update. It's been a while and I thought it would be a good opportunity to update you on my situation. Since my last post, my sister-in-law and I have talked regarding the ring. She has been my mediator and we were always good friends. She agreed from the beginning I should keep the ring. We met up to discuss things face to face. Without the pressure of the rest of the family breathing down my neck, we were able to discuss the ring and its future. I told her about my Reddit post and the advice I had been given, and that I would be very happy to leave the ring in my will for the first niece or nephew born to the family, so that they go back to the family eventually. I told my sister-in-law between her and I that if I remarry at some point and I feel I'm able to part with it, it may be sooner, but I definitely didn't want that in writing. I said I'm happy to draw up said contracts/will and relevant copies for this agreement before my departure. Sister-in-law totally agreed with the proposal, and once the business side of the convo was out of the way, she told me what was the spark that lit this horrendous fire. Father-in-law never got on with my late wife, and especially not me. The ring is from his side of the family. He has a very greedy nature, and although he despised his mother, he despised the fact that something of value that he deemed his inheritance had been taken away from him. That, and he is openly homophobic too. He hated my late wife for it, and apparently when he found out what his mother's wishes for the ring was, he lost his mind. Even though he is an only child and inherited a small fortune from her. After my wife passed, he saw it as an opportunity to get the ring back and harass the family to get it back no matter what it takes. Sister-in-law and brother-in-law doesn't even want it for his fiancée, but they're all scared of father-in-law, and he would make mother-in-law's life hell. Sister-in-law said she is glad that I'm moving home to be with my family. We shared a lot of tears and it was so good to talk about my wife with her. Luckily and hopefully for all of us, sister-in-law shouldn't be too long before she has her first child with her husband, as they've just started trying. Sister-in-law and I have talked over the phone after the relevant information was relayed to the family. Apparently father-in-law is still raging, but she said she could see in her brother-in-law and mother-in-law relief on their faces. Apparently father-in-law really lost his mind when she told him I'm moving back home, believing the ring will be lost forever. Even though the paperwork etc. is all getting in order nicely now. I wanted to finish this by thanking everyone for your kind words, especially relating to losing my wife. She would have been so touched to send so many supportive kind people out there. It's been a very dark time for me, but knowing there are good people out in the world gives me much hope. And if you hear this one again, OP, I'm sorry for your loss, and I think that's a positive update as far as updates go. You know, father-in-law is a piece of work. We all know that. We can see that from this post, and I'm glad you're getting away from it. And after everything you went through with losing your partner, and then having to deal with this absolute shit on top of everything else, you're a kind human. That's all I can say on this one. But what do you guys think of this update? Let me know in the comments below, and we'll move on to the next story. And our next story comes from Throwaway Rent Issue. Am I the asshole for moving out of my parents' house after they expected me to pay rent for my room? I, 18 male, just graduated and going to be starting community college in August. Barely started doing full-time hours, but that'll change to part-time again once I start my classes. Before my 18th birthday, over a month ago, my parents started talking about how they expect me to pay for rent, then half the bills if I expect to stay there. That wasn't the problem. The issue was they were expecting me to pay $1,300 a month for my tiny ass room that I share with my little brother. Not including half the bills they expected me to pay. Most apartments in our city are around that range, but for a whole ass apartment, not a single bedroom plus sharing space with everyone else. Most of my paycheck would just be going to that then. Like I asked my parents, I don't got a problem with helping with the bills and paying for my room if they made the rent to be lower. They said that's how much they agreed on, so that's what I'd have to pay if I want to keep staying there. So I said fine, and talked to one of my friends I already knew had his own place but was looking for a new roommate for the past 3 months. Ended up going with him and he added me to the lease. My own room and bathroom plus the total rent and half of the bills is like way less than the rent by itself that my parents expected me to pay. But the thing is, they're super mad at me for leaving. My mum ignored me when I moved out. My dad kept saying how he's so disappointed in me. For a while, they were hoping to rely on me helping out with their mortgage payments on the house, also with the bills. So now that I've chosen to leave instead, my dad says I'm going to leave them really struggling, and he can't believe I decided to be selfish instead of helping my family out. So that's sort of why I'm asking if I'm the arsehole. It was super high what they were expecting me to pay. Literally whole paycheck would just go to that. But I also left them to struggle when they were hoping for me to help out. So I don't know, am I the arsehole? It's one of those surprise Pikachu face ones, isn't it? Where you just called their bluff and now they're like, what? You're gonna do this to us? Absolutely not the arsehole. You did the smart thing in this situation and you shopped around. You know, they wanted to charge you $1,300 for a small room that you're having to share with your little brother. What kind of logic is that in the first place? You found a cheaper one where you get your own bathroom and all that kind of good stuff. So I don't blame you for doing what you did. And the fact that they're guilt tripping you after as well is absolutely disgusting. Not the arsehole from me, but let's check out some comments to see what they say. And we'll start with yes, no, goodbye saying not the arsehole. $1,300 for one room would be a rip-off under the best of circumstances. For a parent to try and charge their barely legal adult son that amount of money for his freaking childhood bedroom is outrageous. And quote, for a while they were hoping to rely on me with helping out with their mortgage payments on the house, also with the bills, so now that I've chosen to leave instead, my dad says I'm going to leave them struggling, and he can't believe I decided to be selfish instead of helping my family out. And then says, might I suggest they cut back on the avocado toast and get a second job? Holy shit, the entitlement. And Party Captain says, not the arsehole. That's unreasonable. Maybe something like paying for the bedroom and part of the groceries, but like flipping 1.3k. Besides, they're using you like a cash cow, so better to move out now than later. And Imez says, not the arsehole. You got a better price from a competitor. Hard luck, mum and dad. Not to mention, it's shameful of them to expect over $1,300 a month for a shared room. They wanted to keep your money around, not you. They showed their true colours. And quotes, I left them struggle when they were hoping for me to help out. And then says, parents don't rely on their 18-year-old child to fund their poor financial choices. They made their bed, let them lying it. It says flying it, but I'm sure it's lying it. And Crazy Kitty Cat Lady says, not the arsehole, charging you $1,300 to share a room. Yikes, and half the bills. I'd understand if it was you and one parent, but there are at least 3 other people in the house, so a quarter of the bills would be much more reasonable. It sounds like they were planning to dang near extort you to cover their financial situation. What they wanted to charge you is utterly unreasonable. And we'll have one more from Little Latte saying, not the arsehole. They were trying to rip you off and even effectively said, that's what we agreed on, if you don't like it, leave. You called their bluff. Why should you pay more money for less space? As a newly fledged adult, your parents should be happy to see you well launched into adult life, not trying to drag you down and take advantage of you. Now, put yourself into OP's shoes. What would you do if your parents came to you with this suggestion? How would you take it and what would you do? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and we'll move on to the next story. And our next story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for uninviting my future brother-in-law to my bachelor party? I, 25 male, and getting married to my fiancée, 24 female, in July. I've started dating my fiancée when we were both in our senior year, and we have both become really close with each other's family. I particularly became very close with a younger brother, 21 male. My future brother-in-law is an amazing person. We naturally became great friends. He is really the life of the party whenever he goes and is always good vibes and fun to be around. My future brother-in-law and my mates have been planning me a bachelor party for the next coming weeks, and I've laid out the rules about girls and all that, and they've accepted and promised to follow them. My fiancée is asking me not to invite or bring her brother to the bachelor party as she feels he would bring girls and be overly rowdy. My brother-in-law is very outgoing and loves to party, but he affirmed he will follow the rules of no girls around me, etc. I tried reasoning with her, but she is being stubborn and is insisting I do not invite him. I love my future brother-in-law. I see him as a brother and he is a great person, and I know that if I don't invite him, he will be crushed. Would I be the arsehole if I respected my fiance's wishes and didn't invite my future brother-in-law? Now I might get shot on this one, but I feel like you would be the arsehole if you did respect your fiance's wishes and didn't invite brother-in-law. I don't think brother-in-law has actually done anything wrong. She's just assuming that he's going to bring girls, even though you set the rules and he said he won't do that. I think you need to trust brother-in-law or future brother-in-law in this situation to me, and then if he does bring girls, you just leave. It's that simple. Then he's breaking your trust. But I think in this particular moment, I think fiance is being a bit too controlling for my liking in this story, and I would raise that conversation with her and I say, look, we need to set some boundaries on the control here because that's going a bit too far in my opinion. But let's check out some of the comments to see what they say. And Inevitable says, you would be the arsehole. Your fiancé is overstepping here. Her issue here is ultimately whether she trusts you. Ask her if you can decide who goes to her hen's bachelorette party. Would that be controlling? Yes. It sounds like you have a fab relationship with brother-in-law, and long may that continue. Uninviting him would likely undermine this budding friendship and create all sorts of issues for the future. Congrats on your forthcoming wedding and enjoy the boys' night. An Organic Extension says you would be the arsehole. He said he wasn't going to bring girls. You should trust him. And Qage says you would be the arsehole. She's being ridiculous. She should be happy that you have such a good relationship with your future brother-in-law. Does she not trust you? This is your bachelor party, not hers. Don't punish him because she is insecure. And Essex Catwoman says you would be the arsehole, at least without trying to resolve this. Tell your fiancé if she has issues with her brother, she needs to raise them. That you have no issue with him and want to be working to bring the families together, not pushing apart at this time. Discussing with her your contingency plan for if things do take a turn you don't like, reassure her. But being given ultimatums by your fiancé is a bit of a red flag without more justification. And we'll have one more from Tammy in O says, you're the arsehole, and why are you allowing her to dictate your guest list at your bachelor party? It's a bachelor party, not whatever and whomever my soon-to-be wife allows party. Now, what would you do in this situation? Do you think it's kind of controlling behavior or not? Or do you think it's perfectly reasonable request? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll move on to the next story. And our next story comes from Wedding Property. Am I the arsehole for not letting my best friend have a wedding on my property after being uninvited? One of my 29 male best friends, Carla, 31 female, is getting married soon. It's only meant to be a small backyard type of wedding, but they've been planning it for a few months now, and originally it was supposed to be on my property. They wanted it because it's private, has lots of open space for the reception, a nice view, and the house could be used for them to get ready and stuff. Of course I said yes, and she and her fiancé Rick were very happy. Thing is, Carla and I do have a history. We went out on and off in college, but decided to stay friends. Then I met my wife, we got married, Carla met Rick, and now here they are. Now my wife knows I went out with Carla back in college and she didn't care. Carla still went to our wedding and everything. I never knew if Rick was told or not. It's not my relationship, therefore not my business to say anything, so I never did. Rick found out recently and was not in the best way. Not sure how, but from what I heard from friends is that one mutual friend told him, no idea why, we used to date. Not only that, but apparently Carla said a couple of years ago she was still in love with me when she was already dating Rick. Don't have actual confirmation if that's exactly what he was told. All Carla's told me is that Rick was told about our past and he's angry at her for never saying anything. It became quite a drama and didn't hear from her for over a month until now. She's told me they're going to couples counselling and that the wedding is still on, but Rick requested that I not attend. It sucks, but I totally get why he wouldn't be comfortable. Then I asked the obvious question, where are they going to hold the wedding then? To my surprise, she said they still want it at our place. Rick said so too, and in my mind, I'm going, he doesn't want the guy who dated his fiancée years ago at the wedding, but still wants a wedding at his house. My wife and I are expected to just not be at home that weekend. And I told Carla no. They're going to have to find someplace else since we're not going to simply leave our home to them for the weekend. Not only for safety reasons, but it just doesn't make sense. Rick doesn't want me around because he's not comfortable, but is comfortable enough to have the wedding at my house. They really want their wedding here though, and because of that, I've been bugged by not only her, but also Rick and some friends who think I'm being a petty arsehole for not letting them have the wedding here anymore. Honestly, I don't think that I am. It just doesn't make sense at all to have to leave your own place for a wedding we're no longer welcome to, and leaving our home totally vulnerable. Still, being accused of sabotaging their wedding, and Rick believes it's the least I can do after everything. Am I the arsehole? That last comment from Rick there, he believes it's the least you can do after everything. I mean, what did you do? You didn't do nothing. You dated this girl and then never got involved, and you was happy enough to lend your house over for their wedding. You're totally fine with it, and I find this a bit of a weird request as well, asking you to leave your own house so they can have a wedding in it. I wouldn't be comfortable with that either, so I'm going to say not the arsehole. But Pomdor says Rick doesn't want to get married anymore, but doesn't want to be the bad guy breaking up with his fiancée, so he's put her in an impossible position, so he can get the sympathy when they split. Not the arsehole. Interesting take there. Wonderful Atmosphere says, not the arsehole. What a weird request. Do you typically host wedding receptions on your property? He can go pay for a venue if he's going to act like that, even if they did end up getting married. And Grounder55 says, and quotes, Rick believes it's the least I can do after everything. And then says Rick is sick if he thinks A, his fiancée never dated anyone before him, B, she didn't stay friends with old boyfriends, C, he can get someone's home as a wedding venue while not allowing the owners to attend the wedding. You are under no obligation to provide a free wedding venue to these people under these circumstances because you have not, in fact, done anything wrong. I pity Carla if she marries the guy. Not the arsehole. And Un says, not the arsehole, that's not how this works. You don't get to be uninvited from a wedding that is literally in your backyard. You're being incredibly kind and they are being incredibly rude. Either you are allowed to come or they need to find a different venue. Wow, how entitled can you get? And one more from Just No Snark who says, not the arsehole. They decided they don't want you to be there. It's not reasonable to think you're just going to vacate your own property for Rick, Carla and their friends and family to use your home and property. Rick is an insecure muppet and you don't owe him anything. Give the upvotes for the Muppet. Now, what do you guys think of this story and today's collection of stories? Let me know your thoughts and verdicts in the comments below if you have a moment of your time and you choose to share them. Never any pressure though. And just a huge thank you for spending 20 minutes or so with the channel today and getting involved. You make a huge difference in what you do. So if you can click that like button if you did enjoy, it truly helps as well. Thank you so much for your love, your support and time towards the channel, and I will see you, I hope so anyway, in the next one. Take care guys. Much love.